what a race we have. It is going to be down to the very end. It's going to be the battle to see who can keep their car together. It's going to be man versus machine, because now you're going to have to worry about the mud getting in your eyes and your gloves. There is our physical race leader. That is Paul Wolfe. So let's see how far back Josh Bleiler actually is.
So
and
Paul
look how
Wolfe,
nasty these rocks are getting, Pam.
yes, and Paul Wolfe coming up on some lapped traffic as well, so that's going to slow him down. So between him and Paul Wolfe, or Paul Wolfe and Josh Bleiler, it's going to be very tight. But Paul Wolfe get a little bit of a wheelie in his big old UFO car.
And I was just talking about sight. He does have his visor up. So now if he gets mud flipped up, it's going right in his eyes. And that's what I'm talking about. I have seen it time and time again at some of these mud races where the driver can hardly see a thing at the end of this race. Maybe he's just got the visor up because it is very humid right now after the rain came through. But I don't see the camera flipping back on Josh Bleiler. How far back is he?
And that's a good point to make too, Miles, about having that visor flipped up and the humidity out here, because these guys, even though they're wet and they're driving in these cars, they're still working their bodies. They're sweating. So that sweat and that humidity, it'll fog up your visor very quickly. But that right there is Chad Hunt. He's making his way through. So where is Josh Bleiler?
Wow, Chad Hunt is behind him. That is not physical second. So that means Josh Bleiler is off pace. So that really could have been him that was pulled over. So tough break for Josh Bleiler. Hopefully he can get something figured out and keep moving. But now Paul Wolfe is definitely physically out front and on adjusted time. Paul Wolfe got those 7 points yesterday during qualifying for being on that pole position. And here is Kevin Porterfield coming out, crossing the heads-up loop. We'll see if he pulls into the Amsoil hot pits. Looks like he's a little bit off pace, so he may pull in and get some rags. And yes, he does. He is pulling into the Amsoil hot pits, and he's turning really sharp to get in there. We'll see what kind of... Looks like he's going to be taking some fuel, actually. So just like we were talking about earlier, sometimes when the muddy conditions come out, you have to be on the throttle a lot more and use some more fuel. So is it a planned stop or just playing it better safe than sorry?
You know, it's not too shabby to play the safe than sorry game, because we have seen many times, we have seen racers that come through and they decide to bypass the pits, but then they end up running out of fuel, on the last lap or whatever. You don't want to do that. You don't want to take any chances. So just you might as well come do it. I mean, he is running a great race. He is in that 6th position, but you might as well. He is on that lead lap as well, but might as well just come on in and take that fuel, play it safe.
So Kevin Porterfield, they're giving a quick drink, getting some fuel. They should be heading out here very soon.
And there was a great example of what we were talking about with the cone being on the hood. So as soon as the cone
they pulled the cone a little too early that time, you could tell, because they didn't have something wrong with the fuel. They didn't have the fuel cap on or something. So they pulled the cap, and the other guy was still on the other side, so they had to stop him real quick.
Yes, but that is definitely a great example, though. That's whenever you know you're all clear, pull that. But like you just said, they did a little too soon, didn't have the complete clear okay. But here we have Kevin Porterfield getting back on race course.
Well, he's still in the Amsoil hot pits. There's a single entry and a single exit. It is 25 miles an hour, no passing. Right when it gets to those Amsoil flags, it is wide open racing again, so I suspect he'll be hitting the gas and grabbing or crossing across the race line start-finish. Heading out for another lap. So where is our ticker at? We've got about 7.5 minutes, so if Paul Wolfe has a clear run through Hell's Half Acre, he will not be getting the white flag, and there he is. So the white flag, I do not believe, it is still green. So one more lap for him before the white flag comes out. So now it's 2 more laps for Paul Wolfe before this race is over. He beat the timer by 6.5 minutes.
Wow, that is pretty amazing. He knew it, too. You know that we were talking about earlier, we know that Chris Hickman's in his ears and keeping him up to date. They're watching the live show. They're listening to what we're talking about. They're on the radio. They're hearing radio chatter in the other people's pits as well, and that's actually something that happens when you are over in the hot pits. You can hear teams, talking, and their speakers are on, for their radios, and other teams are hearing what's going on with the other racers out on race course.
So that's Paul Wolfe, our physical race leader, and on adjusted time coming into screen. He'll take this little sweeper right. And that is Philip McGilton. That is in the beginning of Torburen's Ridge, so I believe that's our now physical second and on adjusted time. Where is Josh Blyler? I think that was him about 5 minutes ago, pulled off on the side of the road. Hopefully he can get something figured out and keep on going. But Philip McGilton and Brian McVeigh are still pushing strong, and somebody right in front of, that must be Kevin Porterfield in front of Paul Wolf, just got a little slideways right there. That shows you how slick it is getting out here. These main roads are getting a little slick out there.
100%. But where is Eric Miller? We haven't seen him at all. He came in and he did one lap. We saw him earlier on in the Amsoil, or not the Amsoil Hot Pits, but we did see him go through the Joker line. But where is he at? We have not seen him yet as well.
Here is a Miller car. I'm trying to get a visual. Man, I couldn't. Oh, there was 46. That was Rusty Blyler. You could just barely see that shark fin in the middle back of his car. Other than that, they look identical right now with all that mud all over them. So Rusty Blyler, the happy pappy, still plugging along. He's currently in that 5th position.
Yes, and like we keep saying, you know, they only live not too far away from here, so this is their backyard. I mean, they can come here and they can ride these trails anytime they want. It's great practice for them, too, but they race all the time with us at King of the Hammers. They do an amazing job, and here they can compare these kind of rocks right here to where they race at King of the Hammers.
Looks like that is Chad Hunt going out for another lap. There's JT Taylor, our race director, making sure everybody is safe and sound out there. And Chad Hunt and Rick Murray heading out for another lap. Chad Hunt is currently in the 7th position, and is that Josh Blyler?
That would be Josh Blyler. If we just saw Rusty going into the area of the Yukon launch, there we do have.
Yes, it is. The red letter plate, that is Josh Blyler. So physical 3rd, he was pulled over for a little bit, not sure what happened, but now Josh Blyler is still sitting in that 3rd place. This is going to be an exciting finish. I can't wait to hear what happened out there for Josh Blyler. But hey, the race is not over yet. The leaders still have 2 more laps yet to go.
Exactly. And Miles, now that we see Josh Blyler, we know that that's not him pulled off on the side over there, because we did see Paul Wolf. So is that Eric Miller? Because Eric Miller did come through earlier on. So Eric Miller has had 1 lap and was out for a 2nd lap when that
happened. But to
happened.
speculate on that, that could have been him pulled over, and then he got the car back going. So we don't know that situation for sure.
But we did see Paul Wolf going by him just a moment ago. So where Paul Wolf was at on the race course compared to this section right here.
I think that was a different spot. I
You
really
think it was?
do.
Okay.
Because that was about mile marker 7, so I do think that was a different spot on track.
Okay. Okay. Well,
So that I really do think earlier when we saw that car stop, that was Josh Blyler. He had an issue. Not sure what it was. We're speculating.
Yes, we are.
But he had an issue. Whatever he got going, he's back there running. So we'll see. But hopefully we can get Erica Allreed down there to the Amsoil Hot Pits and have a quick chat with the Blylers and see what is going on, or what happened with Josh Blyler. So right now, out on course, it is Paul Wolf in 1st, Philip McGilton in 2nd, Josh Blyler in 3rd, Jody Ford in 4th, and Rusty Blyler rounding out the top 5.
and we can see right now they are going through some very decent mud puddles, because we did get a pretty heavy downpour of rain within that short period of time.
And that is our physical, I can't tell. Wow, these cars are getting harder and harder to tell who is who.
Whoever it is, they are definitely on the gas. They're on the rails making their race away.
So we should be seeing Paul Wolf coming into the Yukon launch Kool-Aid section here in the next few minutes. And this is probably roughly mile marker number 8 or 9 right in this section.
And that looks like that would be Christopher Branton right there in that USD Stickies white. It was white earlier.
These cars are getting harder and harder to tell who is who. So I do apologize. We're doing our absolute best. There's Philip McGilton, physical 2nd and on adjusted time. Philip McGilton and Brian McVeigh still out there trying to chase down Paul Wolf. But it's about a 5-minute, 21-second split between Paul Wolf and Philip McGilton.
Yes, and Philip McGilton is definitely on the rails as well. His last lap was a 24:28, but his fastest lap time of the day has been a 22:11. But not one person has been able to catch up to Paul Wolf's fastest lap time of a 20:47.
So we are 30 seconds away from racing for 2 hours, so it'll absolutely be the white flag next time we see either Paul Wolf, Philip McGilton, or Josh Blyler. Who's it going to be? Right now, it is Paul Wolf.
Right
and
now.
there is Tad Dowker entering the Torburen's Ridge. I can tell that by the back of his car. You can see how it's pretty pointy. So that's one way you can tell him. Behind him is a Miller car.
And I think the
And
third one
another
is
Miller car.
the third one. I think is the USD Stickies. I think that's Christopher Branton, but I could be wrong.
And look, we got a little bit of a traffic jam going on. Tad Dowker's having some issues backing into somebody. So we have a 4-car pileup at the start of Torburen's Ridge.
This view reminds me of I don't even know what the video game is called, but watching the cars moving around like Tetris when you're moving your squares around.
It's amazing what they are doing. We got a great production crew behind the scene bringing you all this amazing racing action.
All right, and there we do have Tad Dowker coming through first of the 4 cars that we have moving along here.
Okay, that's Jonathan Dawes there in that second car. Then it's Christopher Branton.
And then we will see here in just a moment who that last vehicle is of the 4 cars making their way through this nasty rock section.
Oh, that's Casey Gilbert, it looked like. Was he missing a headlight?
You know, I'm not. Yep, it
Yep,
is. So
I
there
believe
is.
that's Casey Gilbert. Well, we got a little bit of blue on the front of his hood, so Casey Gilbert. And Nature Boy Nate still plugging away.
Okay, so Nate got back in then because he was out earlier on because of the window nets.
And
so
you
they
see
got
the
it
window
fixed.
nets up, so they
Yes.
got that squared away and got him back in the race car.
Let's see if we can make out who this is here. Sounds like Josh Blyler will be coming through our race line, start-finish line here in just a moment.
Yep, he's hit the heads-up loop, so there is Josh Blyler heading out for one more lap. So next time around for him, it'll be the white flag. And I don't know what was wrong with this car, but right now he's not worried about it. He was full of throttle attack. And this...
Yes, Josh Blyler's last lap was a 30:09, but we do know that he was having some kind of issues somewhere, but a 21:58 was his fastest lap time of the day so far.
Thanks again for everybody for tuning in for the 2023 Famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road. This is the 4400 main event presented by Good Boy Vodka. There's Tad Dowker still making his way through. He is in Hell's Half Acre as we speak. There's still a few of the easy ups out there still enjoying some racing action. There's Diesel Krentz. He was in the last race, but he had some broken parts, so he's still parked just off the line. And there's another car broken down in the line as Tad Dowker's trying to decide if he's going to try to take a different line. And right where his right front tire, you could squeeze a UTV through there, but not a full-size car, especially with the traction the way it is right now.
Yeah, we're not sure who that is, but you were mentioning that is Diesel Krentz's car right there. Yes, he will be recovering that after this race is over. It was an unfortunate event for him, but it looks like somebody's walking back to that race truck. Not sure who that is right there. That is broken down.
There's Christopher Branton, I believe, right behind Tad Dowker. He'll be going up here, and they kind of go through this little chute. And that's one more little rock obstacle to go that is starting to deteriorate, so we'll see how easy he can make it through. Here comes Roger King across the race line start-finish. There is Tad Dowker, so he'll be coming across the race line, start finish here very soon. He is a couple laps down because he had that issue earlier on. But Tad Dowker still pushing strong.
Tad Dowker, he would be up there running with our big boys right now if he did not have that issue. He's usually up there running in front, but having that throttle cable issue at the beginning of the race was very unfortunate, but he is coming into the AMSOIL hot pits as we just saw him cross into the entry of it.
Yeah, he's been very successful this season. He got this car just a few years ago, and he's really gotten it dialed in right now. So tough break early on. Looks like he's going to pull in. We'll see what they do.
They don't look like they have any flat tires or anything, but they are looking at the suspension in the front. Getting some nice clean rags for their faces, as we did see Paul Wolf with his visor up earlier on, because the water and the mud and everything will be an issue for sure.
So just got an update from Erica Allreed. Josh Byler had a flat tire during the rain, so that's what happened. She said it was nothing crazy. It was just took a little bit longer because the rain was coming down. So he pulled over on course, changed that tire, then had to come to the AMSOIL hot pits, switch out the flat, and head back out. So, a normal tire change for them should be about 2-3 minutes out on course, but in the rain it was probably 5 minutes, and then had to come through the AMSOIL hot pits and rack the spare. So that's what knocked Josh from first to third. We'll see if he's got enough time to make it through there. And the whole North Shore Raceworks crew is in there trying to investigate. There's Brian Trimp. We just saw him racing a moment ago.
And having that throttle cable issue earlier on, not sure if they're messing with that again, but here is Casey Gilbert also coming into the AMSOIL hot pits as well.
Looks like they're going to be doing some fuel, give the driver a drink.
And they also had a tire out as well. So I'm not sure if he maybe had a flat tire as well, but there's Christopher Brandt, and he just came through for another lap, and he is running a great race for himself. He has a 28:16. 6:17 is his fastest lap time, which was the lap that he just now completed.
And if you saw it, Tad Dowker was hitting his window net while he was sitting there, and he's just probably trying to knock some of that mud off the side of it because it's getting pretty covered. But I wonder if they're it looks like they're in that area. I wonder if they're worried about that throttle cable still not working quite right. And this is probably straight water. They're trying to rinse some things off. Again, we're just speculating. We don't know what they're doing, and heck, they may not either.
Obviously something going on, and like we said earlier, having that throttle cable issue earlier on, but he is running still a good race. I mean, of having the issues that he has had, but a 1:37 was his last lap. I was hoping to get a lap time on him, but unfortunately we will not be able to get one on him. But that is Chad Owens making his way through this lovely rock section.
That Owens built machine. Great to see him still plugging along. Chad Owens is roughly in that 10th position right now. So we'll see. It's going to still be between Paul Wolf, Philip McGilton, and Josh Blyler. It's still anybody's game, but right now it's looking really good for Paul Wolf. The time has elapsed, so next time our leaders come through, the white flag will be out for one more lap for the 4400 main event for the 2023 famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road.
And Josh Blyler, we saw him come through on the gas very hard. He's trying to make up some time with having that flat tire out on race course, having it, a little extra time of having to change it like it was during the rain. It wasn't just a light rain that we had come through here. It was a downpour. So that was not a fun tire change, more than likely for him. But
there's Rusty Blyler coming through toward Buren's Ridge. As he's making his way through there, he's currently in that 5th position. Did we miss Jody Ford, Pam? I didn't see him, but it's possibly still in the mix. We'll see. They should be here in the next 10 minutes or so, so we'll see if he got around Jody Ford or if Jody Ford came through that camera angle when we weren't watching.
Correct. Jody Ford is on lap number 5 right now, waiting to complete it. We will see him hopefully soon. Casey Gilbert, you can see he just had to start his race truck back up. He will be exiting the AMSOIL hot pits. He has to do 25 miles per hour until he gets to the flags, where there is also a sign that says resume race speed. But Tad Dowker, we can see also in the background, still in the hot pits with the hood off of his race truck.
Casey Gilbert getting ready to exit through the Amsoil hot pits, and he'll be heading out for another lap. He's right in that mid-pack. He is a lap down.
All right, so Casey Gilbert just completed. He's going out for lap number 5. His fastest lap of the day today was a 23:50, but he is still running in the top 10 in that number 8 spot. So that's kind of cool, to see that even though he had some issues and everything, he's still running a good race.
And look, it looks like a beautiful day out there, but we just had one heck of a storm roll through. It didn't rain long, but it rained hard, so sorry for the little delay there, but we should be back up and running. You can see on the right side is that huge drag line. A cool piece of history here at famous Redding Outdoors, just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
All right, just waiting to see where we have Paul Wolf at. We have not seen him come through into the Yukon launch area quite yet again, but we do have somebody coming into screen here. They do have lights on the front, just can't quite make out who it is yet.
So I'm doing some quick math. He came through at 1 hour 54 minutes, so there's 10. So he's about 16 minutes into this lap, so he should be coming in to Torburen's Ridge here very soon, so we'll see if we get a visual on him as we see Jonathan Dawes crashing across the race line, start-finish, heading out for another lap. But I do believe Paul Wolf, Philip McGilton, and Josh Blyler should be nearing our last 2 hard rock sections. Can't quite make that car out.
Well, they're a muddy one now. And there
and here
is
comes
Jody Ford.
So Jody Ford is still in front of Rusty Blyler. We just missed him in that camera scene. So Jody Ford still physically in fourth and on adjusted time. He needs to keep pushing to see if one of the others make a mistake. But right now it is Paul Wolf, Philip McGilton, Josh Blyler, Jody Ford, and then Rusty Blyler rounding out the top 5. What a great, great race. Paul Wolf started on the pole and has not looked back. On adjusted time, he was in second for a little bit, but he has not physically been passed out on course, but it's been really close a couple times.
Yes, and hopefully he makes it all the way through this race with no problems, not having to stop. I mean, we have seen quite a few racers throughout the weekend. On that last lap, it's been a gotcha lap. So hopefully Paul Wolf continues on and keeps that number 1 spot, because like we were talking earlier, he's one that wants to be up there in the top spots. But Philip McGilton running a great race, and there we do have the number 60 of
Chad
Owens. Yes.
And there's a great shot of the race line start finish right in the center of our screen. You can see just to the left of that is, or just to the left of the Jumbotron, basically, right at the V of those flags. What a crazy little storm that popped up. 60-mile-an-hour winds. There's a chance of hail, but we got through it. We're making it happen. Got a little sketchy for just a moment. We were sitting in that blue, white table right in the middle of your screen by that trailer, but we moved into that trailer.
And those were some pretty cool vehicles that we had as our backdrop today, and they'll be racing tomorrow, and it's going to be super cool to be able to see them. But look at this. Is that Rusty Blyler right there?
Yes, it is, Pam. Rusty Blyler, the Happy Pappy, heading out for another lap in the top 5. So our top 5 are on lap number 6. There is Paul Wolf in Torburen's Ridge. So we were right on that money. He is keeping a consistent pace, so it'll be very interesting to keep a really good eye on this camera angle to see how far back Philip McGilton is and Josh Blyler. And it looks like Paul Wolf is being very calm, but he still has that visor up. Does he do that when he gets to the rock sections to cool down? Or is he out of tear-offs? Is he having issues? Is he cooling off? I don't know.
I mean, if you don't have anybody in front of you, why not keep it up to keep yourself cool just a little bit? And another thing that you can do too, you pop your visor down just a little bit so you're still protecting your eyes, but you're also getting that fresh air in your helmet. Oh, and not too far behind,
That's
there's the
Glennie
horse.
Page, I believe. So that is lap traffic behind Paul Wolf. Paul Wolf was able to get around him, hopefully with ease. But Glennie Page from Canada still running a really good race. There's Christopher Branton at the Yukon launch. There on Kool-Aid. Those huge USD sticky tires are working, but man, this traction is different out here in the east here at Pottsville, Pennsylvania, famous Redding Outdoors.
Yes, and we did see him in this section on lap number 1. He was having trouble. He did have that flat, but ever since then, I haven't seen him have to have any struggles going through or back up going up the Yukon launch.
Roger King.
And
Looks like it is. That's the red one of Roger King and Justin Cowart.
And Roger King's running in that number 12 position. His fastest lap of the race was a 33.08, but he's down in that number 12 position out on lap number 4.
But he's still out there trucking along.
This area doesn't look like it's been super difficult by the camera, but we definitely know that that area has been a difficult one for the whole entire race this weekend. And the elevation changes out here. That's another thing that has been really cool to see. I mean, they're starting at the bottom and they're climbing up to the top of these hills, the rock climbs and everything. It's been awesome out here having the elevation change, the rocks, the dirt, the fast sections, the water, all of the above. I think if
they got it all here.
Anything that you want to do on a race course or have obstacles on a race course, they have definitely had it out here this weekend.
Aaron Casey is tuned in watching the race. Skinny, part of our AOE family. He's rooting on his buddy Paul Wolf, giving us a little shout out. Thanks, buddy. Miss you're not here, but hopefully we'll see you around here shortly. But thanks for tuning in. Look how big this place is, as there goes Tad Downker out for another lap. But we should have Paul Wolf in here in about the next 5 minutes to grab the white flag.
And Tad Dowker just went through. That was a true lap time for him. Well, he actually had a pit stop last time, but a 35:21.959. So not a bad lap time for having some issues out there, but he's trying to pick up the pace here a little bit, going out on lap number 3. There's Kevin Porterfield. Kevin Porterfield making his way through. This area right here, I mean, it's tight rocks, it's big rocks, it's everything, all of the above, but he's definitely making his way through. He's been having no issues that we have seen out here. And Kevin Porterfield running in that number 6 spot. He'll be coming through to complete lap number 4.
It's going to be a race to the finish. Who's got enough car to make it on in? Paul Wolf, it looks like he's being smooth and consistent, but hey, you know Philip McGilton is pushing. You know Josh Blyler is pushing his way as well. So Chris Hickman is in Paul Wolf's ear. It's going to be interesting. I mean, you want to save the car, but it's getting ready to be the last lap. So they're going to be pushing, but how hard do you push? They started racing 2 hours and 17 minutes ago.
So we're waiting for Paul Wolf, as we did just see him earlier on. He should be coming through here in just a moment. We do have a Rugged Race Radio chatter that JT Taylor does have that white flag in his hand. So we will be getting that white flag, as we know, on this next lap. But where is Paul Wolf? He should be coming through here any moment.
A great aerial of the Ultra 4 USA camping right down the center. And to the right of it is the AMSOIL Hot Pits. And that far right is the active race course. So we should be seeing Paul Wolf here very soon.
All right. So we're waiting to see Paul Wolf as he should be exiting. And is that Paul Wolf right there? No, it is not. That is not Paul Wolf that just came through.
That's Matt Garofalo, I believe. Look at that. He misses the turn a little bit, hits that Geo, saves the car.
He got a little Western there over here in the
Western.
east. Very, very interesting right now of where is Paul Wolf. Did he go into the pits and we just missed him? Not quite sure.
There is Jonathan Dawes at the top of the Yukon launch, and Erica Allreed down in the AMSOIL Hot Pits said she talked to Tad Dowker, and he came into the pits for a long period of time, down a cylinder, but can't find any issues externally, so they send him back out and see what they can do. And then also our buddy Tim Hooper with FuelWorks, one of our AOE sponsors, is back at home watching. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you at Disney, Oklahoma. And Paul Wolf is in the AMSOIL Hot Pits, so he did come in. What is going on? So this is the race right now, is how long is he going to be in here? All hands on deck. So the window net's down. Paul Wolf is worried about something. This is very interesting. I can't wait to see. And you can see the top right. There's Erica Allreed is at the top right. We will have some updates coming from Paul Wolf right now. But what is going on? Is it electrical? There's something going on? Oh, man, how far back is Philip McGilton? How far back is Josh Blyler?
They just had a battery charger out, so obviously it's an electrical something going on with Paul Wolf. Does he have his helmet off as well? No, he does
helmet's
not.
On, so it looks like he's underneath the dash looking for some stuff. So it is an electrical issue of some sort for Paul Wolf. What a tough break. He was been out front all time. So how far back is Philip McGilton or Josh Blyler? And that must be Rusty Blyler if I had to guess, because that is at the Yukon launch. I believe Josh Blyler and Philip McGilton should be closer than that. Let's see if we can see a 46. Yes, we can. That is Rusty Blyler at the Yukon launch. So now how fast could... Oh, it is a battery issue. You are correct.
Yeah,
so now they're trying to jumpstart Paul Wolf. Wow, this is crazy. But think of this. If he gets a jumpstart, how long is that going to last? So it could be an alternator issue as well. I don't know. This could really play its toll. So this is a rear engine. So the
oh my goodness,
man.
Is that?
Ooh,
we have
fire.
Is that
Hopefully
Blyler?
we get that put out. So
all
now
right.
we are back to Paul Wolf with an electrical issue, possible alternator, possible battery. This is interesting. So you can see that is his dash pulled out. So here's Kevin Porterfield. That is not who we are worried about on this exact spot. We are waiting for Philip McGilton or Josh Blyler.
So getting this jump start going right here, Miles, like you were saying, they did have out a little battery booster, but it didn't have enough power to get to the car or to the race truck. So right now they have it hooked up to a daily driver. So hopefully it's not going to be something major, and they'll be able to get him moving again, running an amazing race out here. Been in that number one spot all day long, back and forth. He'd been physically in that number one spot all day long, but back and forth with Josh Blyler earlier on. So this is not good for Paul Wolf.
So let's think this through. He pulled in to the Amsoil hot pits running, obviously, and then did he shut it off and it won't restart? Or did he know he has an issue? So he didn't need a jump start if it was running when he got there. Does that make sense?
Right.
So then did he shut it off, or are they trying to diagnose? But I think the water on this course got to Paul Wolf's car, and they are fighting something. We can see all hands. There's Chris May. Man.
Well, you got to talk about, you got all of these gauges on your race vehicles. More than likely, the voltage could have been coming down, but why are they pulling out his winch right now?
Interesting. Yeah, what are they doing? They're pulling out the winch.
They're pulling out the winch, and they're also putting a tow strap on it.
That's a ratchet strap.
So is he having issues with the front of his car possibly being cracked or something, and they're trying to hold it together? Because look at that. They are putting a battery on the front.
So the battery, that's what they're doing. They're trying to strap a battery to the front hood of the car and have an external battery. But now he's got to think about if that battery gets jolted, it's going to fall off. So they need to do a really good job of securing this battery.
Yeah, so that is very interesting that they are strapping a battery to the front of Paul Wolf's car. And like you're saying, Miles, they need to make sure that's on there very tight.
And look who this is. Philip McGilton, our new physical race leader, just made a pass and grabbed the white flag here at the 2023 famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road. So Philip McGilton is our new physical race leader over Paul Wolf. Paul Wolf is still in the Amsoil hot pits. So now how far back is Josh Blyler? And then think about it. Jody Ford has been running strong, so he's in the mix now. Rusty Blyler still. How long is Paul Wolf going to be sitting there? He ran for over 2 hours. Look at it. That's our camera guy, Knox, right now that helped get the fire out. That's what we're all talking about, keeping everybody safe and sound.
And what happens too, that kind of fire, oil fires are harder to put out too. So hopefully that's all that is right there. But unfortunate, but this could play a big factor in the leaders of this race. And
And
there we
look.
do have Paul Wolf exiting the hot pits with a battery ratchet strapped to the front of his car.
So just think of that. Now, if you're Paul Wolf, how hard do you push? Because you know that battery's up there, and if you hit the wrong bump, your battery falls off, and is your car going to die? This is going to be interesting. The white flag is out for Paul Wolf.
But where they have it on the hood of his car, it's
He is pulling off the race course. But hey, so is this strategy here? Did he just take another lap? Is this strategy here? Did he just take another lap just to get some more finishing points? Ah, man, I don't know what is going on. So, yeah, Paul Wolf pulled out of the race. So now anybody that goes out for another lap is going to be in front of Paul Wolf.
You can hear that motor power going behind us, but Josh Blyler still running, Jody Ford still running, Rusty Blyler still running, Kevin Porterfield. That is definitely unfortunate for Mr. Paul Wolf, but I mean, he's either playing it safe or, like you said, just to get some more finishing points.
Yeah, I don't know the strategy. Ooh,
Oh, there's
who is
Blyler in there.
That is Josh Blyler, our physical second place and on adjusted time. Looks like a left front flat tire going on for Josh Blyler. So now Philip McGilton is out in front of him. Hopefully we can get a split time. So McGilton started on the front line. And then Blyler started 1 minute 4 seconds behind him. So he definitely has a pretty good lead. So this is Philip McGilton's race right now.
And you know he's got to be feeling pretty good to be up there in that number one spot. He's been running an amazing race. He has Brian McVeigh in there. Brian McVeigh's been racing with us as well. So, and I don't think they've even had to get out and actually winch this race, but they're still working on Paul Wolf's car over in the pits. But here Blyler is now going to be exiting the Amsoil hot pits.
So Josh Blyler heading out for his last lap here for the 4,400 main event presented by Good Boy Vodka. So I do think it's strategy, Pam. I think Paul Wolf knew he wanted to finish that lap because even though this is points here, he's in the Amsoil hot pits, almost finished, but he wasn't. So as long as he made it through there and crossed the checkered line, he gets counted for that lap. So that was a points play, I'm pretty sure.
What's amazing about that, too, is they literally had to still strap that battery on the front of his car just to get him through the start-finish line. So you're right. More than likely, the water was a factor with him. We've seen that happen before whenever we're at races with water. So, I mean, water and electronics do not go very well together.
What a tough break for Paul Wolf. But he still is in the mix. We'll see how it all shakes out. But right now, it's Philip McGilton and then Josh Blyler, 1 and 2. Pam, this is such a great race. Man, it's so crazy how everything transpires. It's just crazy how much things have changed out here. Paul Wolf is out front. Then Josh Blyler on just time had a flat tire. Paul Wolf pulls in. The only person we have seen that's been pretty steady is Philip McGilton. I don't think he stopped in the Amsoil hot pits. I haven't seen him stopped out on course. So he's putting that Jimmy's chassis to work. And Philip McGilton with Brian McVeigh have a great run going.
But it's definitely going to come down to the car that is on its side over there in the Yukon launch. That is right in the middle of race course. So now we have to either get that cleared before our leaders start going through, because we know that Josh Blyler is hunting down Philip McGilton now at this point. But here we do have Christopher Branton going through in his very iconic looking race vehicle with those USD sticky tires.
So that must mean that Jody Ford is just moved into third position, and then Rusty Blyler into fourth, with Paul Wolf pulling off and not heading out for the final lap. So that's going to mix up our tops. So right now it's Philip McGilton, Josh Blyler, then Jody Ford, Rusty Blyler, Kevin Porterfield still in the mix. It's going to be a race. They got to keep these cars together.
Coming down to the last lap here. You know, I'm not even going to say anything else about, making it the last lap and getting done, because I was just talking about how it seems like anytime anything has happened to any of these cars, it's been on the last lap. And here comes Paul Wolf in with that issue. So he was coming in to get that white flag. So I'm not even going to mention any of that again.
There's a shot of the drag line right there here at famous Reading Outdoors, just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania. So Paul even put in brand new batteries this morning, but they quit. So not sure what's going on, but they got it running. He pulled it back in the pits, and Paul Wolf is officially out of the race. Tough break for him. And here is that Casey Gilbert, it looks like. Yes, it is Casey Gilbert and Nature Boy Nate still trucking along.
Miles, I missed who that is that just went by. Is that Casey Gilbert that I just missed?
Yes,
going
it is.
by?
Casey Gilbert still trucking away. That is in Torburen's Ridge. Great aerial shot of the drag line on our right. Still have cars out there still pushing along. It's going to be interesting to see how this race plays out. Paul Wolf is the story of the day. He was on that pole, got those 7 points yesterday, took off, got the whole shot, and never got past until he stopped in the Amsoil hot pits and had to give it up for the day. So tough break for Paul Wolf.
And look at the water that has accumulated on the race course just from that little bit, I say a little bit of rain. I mean, it was a downpour all at once. But a lot of water on the race course. I mean, having a brand new battery put in Paul Wolf's car this morning, and it's already not working. Something happened with it. Very unfortunate for him. But we do have Philip McGilton in that number 1 spot. He is the man of the hour now. He's been running a great race. He hasn't gone into the pits at all that we have seen going into the hot pits. But then we have, obviously, we do have Paul Wolf that is now out of the race. Josh Blyler running in that second position now. Jody Ford. How about that if Jody Ford ends up being on the podium in his first ever 4,400 race? That will be really awesome to see. He was already on the podium once this weekend. His daughter was on the podium as well. So if he ends up on the podium in this race here for the 4,400, I know that he's going to be super stoked.
Oh, the whole Brannock team will be excited. So great job by everybody out here. But yeah, Jody Ford, if he can pull this off in his 4,400 rookie debut and get on the podium, there's going to be a party tonight.
And Miles, did we find out who this is on the side here yet?
I think I said it earlier. Now I forgot who it was.
You can see that they're getting their ratchet straps out to try to winch their car back onto all 4 wheels.
Is that J.P. Marin?
And that's a strange area to be on the side. It's weird. He must have had too much gas and it just popped him up and on his side.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. The traction is falling apart. So, yeah, he just hit the line wrong and had some issues.
I thought I saw 2 cars battling it out just
you
now.
did. Somebody pulled off. You did see it. They pulled off to the side to let him out. That's sportsmanship at its finest, but there's no way I can tell you who those are.
The second one kind of looks like Tad Dowker's shape, but I cannot be 100% on that.
There's the Garofalo brothers, I believe. And the white flag is out for everybody else is Chris Brandon and Ryan Webb out of Bossier City, Louisiana.
They've been racing for just a little over 2.5 hours out here. The fastest lap time of the day was put down by Mr. Paul Wolf with a 20:47. That's the fastest lap that we have had for the whole entire weekend as well with racing. So Paul Wolf putting that down, showing everybody what he can do. He was out front this morning, but very unfortunate with the issues of him now not being in the mix of the race.
And just look at it. You can tell it's already starting to dry up. The terrain here is incredible. It's rained off and on all week long, and it's great for the wide open fast sections, but in some of these tight trees there are some mud holes, and the dust really stays down in the trees because with the overcast of the trees and whatnot. But the course has really been a lot of fun to watch as it comes together.
And here we do see another racer pulling off to let that one go by. Can't quite make out exactly who they are, but that is sportsmanship right there. If they know that they are running in front of them, pull on over, just let them go.
So Josh Blyler is in and out of the pits. So Josh Blyler, physical second place out on course and on adjusted time. So how far in front is Philip McGilton in front of Josh Blyler? It's crazy. It's been a pretty overcast day today, and then that little storm blew through, and now the sun's out, and it looks like it's beautiful out here.
Yeah, that sun coming out. It's probably definitely super humid out there now as well with having that extra moisture put down into the ground. So I'm actually kind of thankful that we're sitting in here in the AC right now. But it did make for the track conditions a change up. We did see, like Paul Wolf had his visor up and extra water down here on the ground here that was thrown onto the track as we saw them going through it. It wasn't just a little bit of a light rain. It was literally a downpour. We can still see spectators up watching up on the ledge. It's pretty cool to be able to watch the race from up there and looking down on the racers going through.
The Garofalo brothers have cleared the Brannick Boulders Joker line. So the only ones that I'm unsure of is Seb Perrault and Kevin Porterfield are maybe the only two that have not cleared the Brannick Boulder Joker line.
Well, and Kevin Porterfield, he's been running a pretty amazing race. He's in that number 6 spot, so the white flag is out. We know he has to do it.
Otherwise, it's technically short coursing the race, so he loses that lap.
Right, exactly. So hopefully he is going to play it smart and realize that he has to make sure he does it this lap.
There is a chance I missed a number. Obviously, there's a lot going on, so I'll double check with that. But that's as far as I can tell. Lots of radio chatter on the Rugged Race Radio. Race Ops is definitely busy today, and you can see the crowd building as they're waiting for the end of this race to come. And we got a pretty good parking lot right here. This is in Hell's Half Acre. This is a really tight spot, and the traction is really goofy because now all the tires have some of that red, wet dirt in them. Now they're trying to do a little rock crawling, and it's very interesting to see how this shakes out.
Miles, the one vehicle that is on the driver's side of the one trying to make through right there, he was stopped last lap as well. I can't quite make out who that is and if they're from this race because earlier on, the only one that was there was Diesel Krentz. So I'm not quite making out who that is stuck also on the other side of the rock section there.
And I'm trying to get a visual. That could be Rusty Blyler. Is that a B on the top of his roof?
That is a B, and then it looks like we have
46,
the number there.
I would assume. So my best guess is that's Rusty Blyler, the Happy Pappy. These cars are getting pretty hard to tell who's who. This mud in the back sections has really thrown us for a loop. One little rock section yet to go. And then we will see if it is Rusty Blyler. We'll be heading out for his 6th and a final lap. Or, sorry, 7th lap. So the leaders will complete 7 laps.
And Rusty Blyler doesn't look like he's really hard on the gas, so we'll see right now if he's going to turn and go into the hot pits or not. And he actually almost bypassed it. He was like, I need to go in. He did look like he was off pace just a little bit. Backed up, got back in through the Amsoil hot pits, making his way through at a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. But he is running in that number 5 position, so not sure what in the world he would be going in for right now.
So Rusty Blyler pulling in the Amsoil hot pits. We'll see what is going on. Don't see much getting ready. Looks like that's Roger King grabbing the white flag, but we should be, I'm going to say, 10 to 15 minutes away from seeing Philip McGilton grab that checkered flag.
And you can see they have the fuel out. They're going to be on the safe side and put some fuel in Rusty's car. That is, like we were saying earlier, something you do not want to do is run out of fuel on the last lap, because we have seen it happen a few times in different races to drivers. So be on the safe side, but they might not actually dump the fuel in there. They were just having it there prepared just in case they were going to.
So here's my guess. I'm going to guess they ran out of communication. I think the water probably hurt their radio, so they don't have communications with the pit. So he pulled in, and it's all hands on deck. Do you need a tire? Do you need fuel? Because we don't know what you need. And then it looked like it was Vince was in the window chatting with Rusty, saying, hey, what's going on? They had their chat. Not sure what it was. Maybe where am I at on course? How hard should I push? He got the information he needed, and he is on the gas. And there's Jonathan Dawes coming through, finishing his lap. He is a lap down. So right now, Rusty Bleiler moves in front of Jody Ford. We hadn't seen him come through.
We haven't seen him come through.
So what is going on there? Tough break for Jody Ford. It just keeps changing and changing. But we do know it is Philip McGilton out front, then Josh Bleiler, then Rusty Bleiler. So the Solid Axles here in Pennsylvania are owning the podium as of now, with Paul Wolfe having a heartbreaker of an issue.
And what kind of podium will that be, having a father and son up there in 2 and 3? If that's how it ends up panning out at the end, it'll be pretty cool and pretty fun interview up there.
Oh, yeah. They're some of the greatest in our sport, and I love their saying. They love to say they're just average Joes having above average fun, and that's what they do. They come out here with all of their buddies and have a great time, and if you can have a good time and be successful, that is the perfect recipe for success.
And not quite sure, but I think that looks like it could be Christopher Branton making his way through. And I hear some horsepower in the background again, and there we go. That is Tad Dowker taking the white flag. He will be coming through. That was lap number 3 that he just completed for himself. He definitely picked up his time of a 25:08, so he's definitely running his own race right now, having the issues that he had. But he just went through with that white flag coming out, so he will complete 4 laps for the race today. And we're just waiting to see, where is Philip McGilton at? How much longer will he have until he comes in? Roughly probably about 8 to 10 minutes is probably where we're at this time before we see him coming through to get that checkered flag. Josh Bleiler, we haven't seen him in just a few minutes, so we'll have to wait around to see where he's at out on race course as well. We just saw Rusty Bleiler go through. But then we have Jody Ford. So right now the question is, where is Jody Ford? He's been running a great race. He's been running in that number 3 position. He started in 3rd position in his first ever 4,400 appearance out with Ultra 4 USA. So Jody Ford is the question now. Where is he at?
Yeah, it's a tough break. This course is just proving to be tougher and tougher for everybody. But that's what we're doing. We are putting these vehicles through their paces.
We have everybody out there watching our races out here. Thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully you stayed dry during our little bit of a downpour.
That's right in front of the Jumbotron. Everybody's out there having a great time. That storm popped up big. It got ugly, but then blew right through. It just rained a little bit. It didn't get what we were hoping not to get what they were saying, and it just kind of did the old split, and we got a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind, and now look at it. It is picture perfect out there. Oh, I got a quick glance. I couldn't tell who that was.
Not quite sure who that is right there, but they look like they could be off pace just a little bit. But we have 2 cars running very close together.
Travis Forshee's tuned in from Texas. Wishing he was here, and we wish you were too, but we will see you around at the next race for sure, buddy. Thanks for tuning in, part of Rufus Racing. Oh, and we got an easy up-down, so that just goes to show we did get some wind. That's our drone operator, and he's still using it a little bit, but he's making the best of what he's got.
Right, exactly. And we still do have the car on its side over there in our Yukon launch area, so such a bummer for these guys. being flopped over in a very difficult rock section. And there's that drag line, the side of it right there. It was a standstill camera earlier, but the wind did pick up. I mean, it even moved our camera angle as well.
It's still kind of a cool shot.
Yes.
That thing is absolutely, I mean, it's literally as big as a house. And there is talks of them rebuilding that and walking it to the next property to put it back in use. That'd be a really cool sight to see. Because they kind of walk like a duck. They've got feet on them, and they just kind of, it'd be I've never seen one in real life for sure, but it's definitely worth a Google.
I laugh when you say it walks like a duck because I just picture a duck whenever you say that.
Well, that's what they do.
I know. It just makes me laugh. And there we do have Ryan Taylor's car setting there. We had such a short time span before. There's Taylor giving us a good old wave. He's one of our start-finish line camera guys there at the race line. But Ryan Taylor, he unofficially was the winner of our earlier race today. So
the 4800 Brannick Motorsports Legends class.
But we didn't have the time to go do the awards due to the time crunch of getting the 4400 race started. So we'll be doing all of those awards after the 4400 race is over.
How far out is Philip McGilton? I think we should see him at the start of Tor Buren here very, very soon.
Yeah, roughly, I think you guys were talking about it being like 12 to 15 minutes, but then we went to like an 8 to 10 minute marker, so we were probably about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes from seeing him at this point.
Getting a little update over my Rugged Race Radio. Kevin Porterfield has cleared the Brannick Boulders and the Joker, so the only racer that hasn't made it through is Ced Perul, and sounds like he must have had some issues earlier on because he is definitely he never even finished one lap. So Ced Perul having a little bit of issues. Hate to see that for him, but he is our only racer in the 4400 class that never made it through the Joker line.
Such a bummer for him. But Kevin Porterfield, we do know that taking the Joker line is just a little bit faster. So in him taking it on this last lap, I don't know if that can bump him up in front of Jody Ford or not. We'll see here, when the checkers comes out. But we still haven't even seen Jody Ford, speaking of him, and he's been running such a great race out here.
Yeah, such a bummer. But, hey, the race is not over yet. We got to dot our I's and cross our T's. There's JT Taylor, our race director at the race line start finish. He's been a busy man this week, and it's putting together some great things.
And here we have some movement, but who is that coming through?
That's Jody Ford. It is Jody Ford, the 4408, and that Brannick Motorsports Miller chassis. So that puts him in fourth position, I believe.
And this is right in front of the Amsoil Hot Pits. We're having a pass go on. We'll see here who it is in just a moment.
I think that is Philip McGilton. Yes, he's tripped the heads-up loop. Philip McGilton is about to win this race unofficially. Philip McGilton started in the front row and never looked back. Philip McGilton grabbing the checkered flag for the 2023 famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X.
Wow, what a great race that is. Chad Hunt, that was right behind him. If Philip wouldn't have passed Chad just now, Chad would have been
to go out for another lap. So is Chad upset or excited that he got passed? But regardless, what a great, great run by Philip McGilton. He just unofficially won this race, and this could be his first place finish with Ultra 4 USA. I know he's been on the podium before, but I think this is his first Ultra 4 USA victory unofficially.
He's going to make his way over to our podium section. We will be doing those once we get all of the official results.
He has got to be excited right now. Dr. Amanda Ross usually rides with him, but with all the extra winching that could have been going on, she decided to bail out, and Brian McVeigh hopped in, and I think that's Amanda right there pointing at him, and she has got to be stoked.
I wonder if she ended up being the crew chief out in the pits this weekend since she wasn't in that co-driver seat.
What a great time they had out here.
So we have some winching going on. That was a Blyler, but here we do have Josh
That was
Blyler.
Josh Blyler. So on adjusted time, where are we going to be at?
So Josh Blyler right now just clicked the ticker in that number 2 position, unofficially behind Philip McGilton.
So Josh Blyler, it looks like unofficially a minute 20 seconds behind Philip McGilton, but unofficial second place goes to Mr. Josh Blyler with Big B Motorsports. And look at Josh Blyler's lap time. You can go to live.ultra4racing.com, and it looks like a minute 20 faster Josh Blyler was than Philip McGilton on his last lap. So Josh Blyler really turned it up, but it wasn't just quite enough. And that just goes to show you, if you can stay in your car and out of the pits, and that is Dr. Amanda Ross giving Philip a big old hug, they've got to be stoked right now. Brian McVeigh is one of our Ultra 4 racers, decided to hop in, and it is all smiles for Philip McGilton. But to finish my thought, he never went in the Amsoil hot pits. We never saw him change a tire. So Philip McGilton just drove a very smooth and very consistent race.
And we were talking about once it started raining, tires were going to be the game changer. We have our other finishers that have came through. They've all been on Nitto tires. Philip McGilton's actually on BFGs, so I believe he was on BFGs before. So that's a pretty statement right there that he just finished this race with all these nice technical tough rocks on a completely different tire than what our racers are normally running out here. And we do have a car exiting out of Hell's Half Acre. Not sure exactly which one that is. We'll see here in just a moment, because they will be coming through the race line, finish line here in just a moment.
So I'm getting an update from JT Taylor, our race director. There's only 13 seconds that split McGilton and Blyler, so that is super, super close race. Like I said, everything is unofficial, but wow, to be racing for basically 2 hours and 45 minutes and then be down to 13 seconds. That is absolutely incredible. Here comes Glennie Page, will be grabbing the checkered flag. Once the checkered flag comes out, the rest of the field gets the checkered. So that's Glennie Page is a lap down. Who's it going to be next? Is it going to be Rusty Blyler or Jody Ford or Kevin Porterfield? That is going to be our next person that could grab the checkered flag and be on that podium. And I think it is going to be Rusty Blyler.
We did see Rusty Blyler right before Josh was coming through. Rusty was actually winching over in the Yukon launch, so that's the area that Rusty Blyler is in. But where's Jody Ford? Jody Ford was going to be behind Rusty as well, and there was a bottleneck actually happening over there. That right there is Kevin Porterfield.
And Kevin Porterfield is a lap down, so it is going to be between Jody Ford and Rusty Blyler. And remember, Jody Ford only came through 5 to 10 minutes ago, so it is Rusty Blyler currently sitting in that third position.
But we did see Rusty Blyler, like I just said a moment ago. He was winching over in the Yukon launch.
It's still anybody's game to fill out this podium. Kevin Porterfield still plugging around with Kyle Hathaway riding shotgun. There's the spectator area, and they kind of are probably listening to the live feed as well and kind of getting the same deal that the race is all but over. But thank you, everybody, for staying tuned in for the 2023 Famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road. It's been an amazing weekend. We've been 2 days live, solid. It's been a great time. We've got so many people behind the scenes. We can't thank everybody, but we've got a great team to put this all together. All the cameramen, all of our producers, all of our volunteers, our boots on the ground out there helping with the recovery. We could not do that without everybody here.
Well, Miles, we are winding down our 4,400 race, but we still have a lot of racing action still on the race course. We're still waiting for our whoever's going to be coming through in that third position, which you are saying it is going to be between Rusty Blyler and Jody Ford. So if that bottleneck was actually still happening over there at the Yukon launch, which we're not sure if it is or not, but because we don't have the camera on there right at this moment, but there was a little bit of a bottleneck happening over there. So Rusty Blyler was the one getting winched. It's all going to be about who gets out first. Obviously, he was the first one in the line to be winched, and where is Jody Ford at behind him?
So Philip McGilton unofficial first. Josh Blyler unofficial second. Is it going to be Rusty Blyler or Jody Ford? That's who we're waiting on next to fill out the podium for the 4400 main event presented by Good Boy Vodka. We are just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania. I've been here for a couple weeks. We've been racing for a couple days. It has been an amazing event for our first time here at famous Reading Outdoors. And I sure hope we come back. This place is amazing, and it is a true testament of the Ultra 4 USA vehicles.
Yes, and we haven't even touched all the trails that they have out here, so there's so much more to offer for changing it up for another race out here as well. So it's really cool to have that. But here we do have Mr. Tad Dowker coming through to get the checkered flag. So Tad Dowker.
That is Jan Petrie.
Yep, it is. I'm so sorry about that. They both have that same looking light on the front. So we do have Jan Petrie coming through with completing lap number 5. And he just completed the fastest lap of the day with a 29:43 for his own race.
What is the fastest lap overall? I think
Paul
it's going to
Wolf.
be Paul Wolf, yeah, with that 20:47.
And here we
so
have.
there's Rusty. No, that is Casey Gilbert. So we're still waiting for Rusty Blyler or Jody Ford. But Casey Gilbert is a lap down, but still pushing through. So Casey Gilbert still has, still has some time to make up. Casey Gilbert.
Casey Gilbert is running in that number 7 spot, though. And, I mean, being a couple laps down, that's not too bad of a position.
It looks like this should be Kevin Porterfield, and it is. Kevin Porterfield and Kyle Hathaway bringing that wide-open design. Adam Woodley built machine across the race line, start-finish. It is one of my favorite cars. Adam Woodley's been around the Ultra 4 and King of the Hammers family since the invention of it. We've been buddies for a long time. He built an amazing car. He started racing early on and then built a lot of trail cars, but it was one of my favorite cars out there. Those wide open design buggies are a work of art.
All right. This is the question of the hour. Where is Mr. Rusty Blyler? Where is Jody Ford? That is who we are waiting on to see who's going to be in that 3rd and 4th position. Lots of new water puddles that have created out there due to the rain we had just a little while back.
Thanks to everybody who makes this possible. Jason and Gayla Robinette, all of the volunteers, the Ultra 4 USA staff, the AOE crew, media, safety, USAC racers, fans, and marketing partners. Without each and every one of you, we would not be racing here today for the 2023 famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road. I'm going to do a little guessing here. It sounds like we should have Rusty Blyler here in about 10 minutes or so. And we do know that Jody Ford is probably, I'm going to say, about in that 15-minute mark. So I'm going to say there's about a 5-minute split. About a 5-minute split between Rusty Blyler and Jody Ford. 5 to 10 minute split. I don't know. We'll see how it all shakes out. We don't know where they're at on course.
Well, we can see right here, there is Casey Gilbert coming up. I'm not sure who that is in front of him that he's coming up on, but Casey Gilbert's trying to make headway through this course and trying to make his way to get that checkered flag, but he has the car in front of him is going in reverse, so Casey actually just had to back up himself. I'm not quite sure who that is in front of Casey Gilbert, but he wants to tap him out of the way is what he's wanting to do.
Looks like that could be Christopher Branton. Casey lost that headlight in Rush, Kentucky last year, or last Eastern Series race. Hasn't put it back on. Actually, that headlight has been riding in the bed of my truck for the last couple months. I brought it to him at this race, and he just kind of smiled, laughed at it, and threw it in the pits. Apparently, he didn't put it on. And one of our, we got Benji that's tuned in. And Curtis and Katie have been watching off and on all day, so thanks to all of our Ultra 4 family for staying tuned in as we're watching the Garofalo brothers. So Matt and Joe Garofalo still making their way through in that 928 machine. Racing for Mad Dog Racing.
Not sure who that one is right there, but they are definitely on the rails. You can see them having to drift those corners.
I think that's Christopher Branton, if I had to guess. It looked like a 2C IFS Jimmy's chassis, and yes, it is the 4046 of Christopher Branton and Ryan Webb crossing the race line start-finish. Oh, is that Chad Owens?
It is Chad Owens. That is the number 60 that has been sitting back there on their side for quite a while.
We saw them have a little bit of fire issue, but they're able to put it out. We go back to Tad Dowker. That is at mile marker number 7. He'll be taking a left through this little chute. There he is.
So Christopher Branton, he's been running some pretty consistent lap times. His fastest lap of the day was a 26:34, but this last lap was a 26:53. And there we do have Casey Gilbert just came through and got the checkered flag.
Looks like that was Casey Gilbert coming across the line with a right rear flat tire. Chad Owens is back moving, so great to see him still being able to right his car and get it back to the trailer. He's going to be racing here tomorrow as well. For the Dark Water Line Mountain style racing.
So, Miles, we are still waiting on Rusty Blyler and Jody Ford. We have not seen any action out on the race course on any of our cameras so far with either one of them, and it's going to basically be who's going to round out our podium, and it's one of those two that is going to have to be the ones that do it.
Is that Jody Ford right there? I do believe Gilbert's in, Blyler's in, Miller, haven't seen him moving, so I do think that is Jody Ford. And look, he does not have a spare tire on, so he must have had another flat out on course, so he probably had to pull it over and get it changed. So that's why I hadn't seen much at Jody Ford. Is Rusty Blyler still healthy and running? If he is, he's going to lock down that third position, but if he has an issue, Jody Ford still could be in the mix. We see a little bicycle blowing through the puddle right there in the middle of the camping area. Everybody's having some fun here.
I'm sure those kids are having a blast. I mean, it didn't even rain yesterday, and the kids were having fun out in the mud puddles from the rain we had earlier on in the week. But we will see here in just a moment, Jody Ford, where is Rusty Blyler? That is our question we keep asking. We have not seen him, but if that was Jody Ford just now, it's going to come down to the wire of which one it's going to be rounding out that podium.
This is our second Ultra 4 Eastern Series race. Up next, we'll be heading to Crandon, Wisconsin at the Big House over Labor Day weekend. Then we'll move from there to Disney, Oklahoma, and finishing up the year at Legends of the Fall in Lake Havasu. That is a do-not-miss event. We'll have Ultra 4 USA, F1 boat racing, the rodeo, National Music Acts, Nitro Circus, American Side-by-Side Takeover, and much, much more. We are still patiently awaiting for Rusty Blyler. Jody Ford is just past mile marker number 7, probably sneaking up on mile marker number 8 for now, so he's probably 10 to 15 minutes away, and I suspect that Rusty Blyler should be in Torbjörn or Hell's Half Acre right now. We'll see if we can get a camera down there to find him, or is he stopped out on course?
And we keep mentioning it, how beautiful it is out here in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. The history out here is pretty cool. I would love to go do more in-depth detail of touring the town. The town of Pottsville is pretty cool to see. And we do have someone, I'm not sure who that one is right there.
That is the Matt and Joe Garofalo. They're coming out of Hell's Half Acre, so this is the last rock section they will take, and then they will head in towards the checkered flag at the race line finish. So Matt and Joe Garofalo heading over the heads-up loop as we speak. The Amsoil Hot Pits will be on their right, but they will stay left and go towards that checkered flag. They're currently in that 15th position. We'll see where that ends them up.
And they are completing lap number 4, where our leaders that have came in, Philip McGilton and Josh Blyler, have done 7 laps. So that goes to show you the ones that have, actually Josh Blyler did have a flat earlier on. So
couple flats, I believe.
And so even having a few issues, he still ended up in that number 2 unofficial position right now, but with 7 laps completed.
Because I believe Josh Blyler had a flat and came through the Amsoil Hot Pits after his first lap, correct?
I believe you are correct on that, yes.
And then he had to pull over on another lap and change a tire, as we see Tad Dowker coming back into screen with his buddy Andy Eustace with North Shore Raceworks. And he hasn't been running a spare tire this entire race. I don't know why.
You know, and that's another thing, too, when you talk about, like, strategy or whatnot of other racers. There's Blyler right there.
Rusty Blyler, physical third and on adjusted time. And we have another driver that you could tell was backing up to spot him. So the sportsmanship between the Ultra 4 USA drivers are top-notch. Oh, that is Josh Blyler, possibly.
Josh Blyler actually already came in and completed his 7th lap. So this has to be Rusty.
Well, that's Josh Blyler right there on course. So he crossed the finish line and ran back, right? That's gotta be
what
Josh
he's probably
Blyler.
doing is he's out there trying to help and make sure if he has to help him winch up or something, because he is a competitor, he can go do that. Helping winch up these areas right here will save Rusty time, and this will put Rusty up on that number 3 spot, possibly and unofficially right now. But where is Jody Ford? There is Jody Ford.
Ford is right behind him. Let's do some quick math. Jody Ford left second off the line. Rusty Blyler left back in the 5th row. So Jody Ford has to pass Rusty and beat him by about 2 minutes. So I do think as long as Rusty Blyler keeps a smooth run, he will beat Jody Ford. But Jody Ford knows that he's hungry. He's going to be pushing, and that's super cool to have Josh Blyler out there to go out there and help his dad. That is sportsmanship amazing out there. Wow, Pam, this is a great finish to this race.
Yes, it is. And for Rusty to go over and do that and go and, like we're saying, it's saving time for Rusty to not have to get out of the vehicle if he actually has to winch up. But we did see Jody Ford super close behind, so it's all about strategy. But here is Jonathan Dawes making his way through as well. Jonathan Dawes is running in that number 8 position. He is going to be completing lap number 5, so he'll have a total of 6 laps. He had a fastest lap of a 28:50 today during the race.
But there's a great shot. You cannot see either one of Rusty Blyler or Jody Ford. So there is Tad Dowker. So Rusty Blyler and Jody Ford should be at the right of our screen here in just a few minutes, because they should be clearing Torbjörn Ridge and heading towards Hell's Half Acre.
So it's literally coming down to the end of the race, the last couple of rock sections of who's going to be the last person to round out our podiums today.
And Philip McGilton had the race of his life. Again, I believe he just got his first unofficial victory with Ultra 4 USA. He drove a great race, never got out of the car, never had a flat tire, never came into the Amsoil hot pits. And Philip just drove a great race with his buddy Brian McVeigh riding shotgun.
Within those screens, I did not see Jody nor Rusty, but we are still on with Tad. He will be coming up and making that left-hand turn out here. So Tad Dowker still running a great race, even though he had those issues earlier on today. He is in that 16th position, but this will be a number 4 lap for him. But he did have a super fast lap time of a 25:08 earlier on.
We're about 5 minutes from wrapping up the 4,400 main event presented by Good Boy Vodka. Is it going to be Rusty Blyler or Jody Ford? Remember, Jody Ford has to pass Rusty and put about 2 minutes on him. I do not think that's going to happen unless Rusty has an issue. I believe that's Tad Dowker heading towards the race line finish, and it is. The checkered flag is out for Tad Dowker. Again, he is a lap down. We're still waiting for Rusty Blyler and Jody Ford. We've been racing for just over 3 hours for this race. It was a 2-hour race. Then the leader gets the white flag. So is that Blyler right there? That should be, yes, so that should be Rusty Blyler and Jody Ford right behind him. So neck and neck. Jody Ford is right behind Rusty, patiently awaiting, and that is Josh Blyler to the rest of us. So Josh Blyler did get out and help winch Rusty. Does Rusty have an issue? Did Josh know that? This is strategy. This is a no chase race. Only fellow competitors can help you, and Josh obviously is in this race.
And you can see that they're already pulling the winch line back in, so they winched him up that section right there, but pulling that winch line back in, or are they pulling it out a little bit more? Not sure exactly what they're doing, but Jody Ford is definitely right there on his tail, patiently waiting, wanting to get around him because he knows what is going on in this race right now.
And this is an interesting strategy because they stopped and put the winch in. There's nowhere for Jody to go, so Rusty had him kind of blocked right there, so he just had to make sure he was where he wanted to be. So now Jody Ford is right behind Rusty Blyler with a very minimal time. He'll go up this little left chute, and this is the last rock obstacle yet to come. So it looks like Jody Ford is going to be just a couple minutes shy from getting off that podium, but he is pushing all the way to the end. He's going to give Rusty a little love tap possibly, and it'll be an absolute drag race. But remember, Jody Ford does have to pass Rusty Blyler and put about 2 minutes on him. So he's only got about a quarter mile yet to go. It looks like this is Rusty's race to lose. So it's going to be a drag race. Rusty Blyler out front. Jody Ford right behind him. It's going to be a great race to the finish, Pam.
Yes, it is. And Rusty Blyler right there. This is for Jody Ford. You're usually chasing dust, right? That's what it is in racing. And when you're chasing that dust, you're racing that dust. Right now, Jody Ford has Rusty Blyler's sights right there, and he's just chasing him down, but just does not have quite enough to get that to get that win in front of him. So Rusty Blyler unofficially in that third position with Jody Ford in that number 4 spot.
What a great race all the way to the finish. They were both all over the throttle. It looks like about a minute splits them, so tough break for Jody, but hey, that is part of racing. So it looks like unofficially 1, Philip McGilton. Unofficially 2, Josh Blyler. And unofficial 3rd, the Happy Pappy, Rusty Blyler. So father, son, 2 and 3 on the podium. They'll be super excited with that.
And you can see everybody going over to the cars to go congratulate them for the amazing race that they all just put on for us. But this is where Rusty Blyler probably is thinking to himself, that flat tire, that's what took him out of that win from Philip McGilton.
You mean Josh Blyler?
I mean Josh Blyler, yeah. So, I mean, Josh Blyler's, having the flat tire and everything earlier on, I'm sure, he's trying to figure out in his head, or not, because still finishing, in second position right here unofficially right now is still a great spot, even though you do want that number one position.
But if you can both show up to a race and both take home a podium, they got to be super excited. So Josh and Rusty there, but it is all about Philip McGilton today. He came here, he battled, he fought all day, drove a completely great race, never got out of the car, never came into the AMSOIL hot pits. So it looks like it's a great day for Philip McGilton. I believe this is his first Ultra 4 USA victory. But again, we have to dot our I's and cross our T's to make sure everything is going on. And then we'll be giving away some of these 360 wrapped laser nut trophies here in just a little bit.
What a great ending to an amazing race weekend out here in Pottsville, Pennsylvania for the famous Reading Rumble. It's been an awesome event out here for our first time racing here. And we'll say it again, the racers, they all are already talking about coming back next time. We all hopefully we're coming back next year. But it's a great race facility out here, race course. And I know it was definitely technical for a lot of the racers because they keep comparing it to the rock racing that we do at King of the Hammers in Johnson Valley, California. Just a different style of rocks. The rocks move around a little bit. They're a little bit more slippery, to where the rocks here, they are, or the ones at King of the Hammers, they're, more hard-packed, more dense rocks there. They don't move quite as much.
Yeah, the traction is completely different, but the it's definitely a hard race as Jonathan Dawes grabs the checkered flag. Looks like that should put him in unofficial 8th position. So, Pam, let's run through the top few that have finished. Unofficial first is Philip McGilton.
In that second position, the number 41 of Josh Blyler.
Third is Rusty Blyler.
And in that fourth position, the 4408 of Jody Ford.
In that fifth spot, the 1018 of Paul Wolf.
And the 4426 in that sixth position, Kevin Porterfield.
In seventh, the 618 of Casey Gilbert.
In eighth position, the 4417 of Jonathan Dawes.
And the 456 is Chad Hunt.
And then the 10th position, the 797 of Jan Petrie.
So we'll see how that all shakes out. Again, everything is unofficial for now, but it is a great day for Philip McGilton, Josh Blyler, and Rusty Blyler. So Paul Wolf had a great run going, but had some bad luck. Josh Blyler was leading the race, had a flat tire. Philip McGilton got around him, and Jody Ford and Rusty Blyler fought to the absolute finish. They finished nose to tail after basically 3 hours of racing.
Yeah, that was definitely a long, tough race for these guys. I mean, they only did 7 laps. Only 4 of our racers did 7 laps, which was Philip McGilton, Josh Blyler, Rusty Blyler, Jody Ford, but those were 7 long laps. They weren't easy. These guys had to work for these positions this weekend. They had to work their cars. The big talk about their cars, they've been wanting a harder race. We got a harder race for them, and it's really putting the vehicles the way they're built. This is what they were built for, and putting them to the test.
We still have a few cars out on course, but it's looking pretty solid for our top 3 up there. We are winding down for the 2023 famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road. It has been an amazing weekend out here in Pottsville, Pennsylvania for our first ever race at famous Reading Outdoors.
We've had a little bit of everything for the past few days out here, besides all the different terrains our racers have been going through. Also the weather. We've had hot weather. We've had humid weather. We just had a storm blaze through here and just dump a bunch of water. So we had a heavy rains as well. So the different terrains, they went through water crossings. They had the rock sections. They also had, the fast sections as well. So having the different terrain out here is definitely a true testament to how hard this race course is out here at famous Reading.
And that is what a true Ultra 4 USA track is supposed to be. They talked about it. We found it. We made it. We made it happen. And it was a great, great race course. Had the go fast, had the trees, had the rocks, multiple rocks out there. The Yukon Launch was a fun section. The Brannock Boulders was really cool. The Torburens Ridge and Hell's Half Acre. So much fun happened this weekend. It's been a great race here for the 4400 main event presented by Good Boy Vodka. While we kind of dot our I's, cross our T's, we are going to take a quick break and be right back after this.
Spaceport has been America's motorsports authority since 1934. Get news, results, and commentary from the most connected experts in the business, covering all forms of motorsports from flat track to NASCAR and everything in between. Bookmark Speedsport.com on your mobile device now, or follow Speedsport on social, and be sure to subscribe to the Speedsport Daily. Speedsport is your one-stop shop for all things racing on two wheels and four.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. Run with us.
Welcome back to the 2023 Famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road. It's been a great week of racing. It's been so much fun out here. So we have Erica Allreed down there with our unofficial winner. So we're going to send it down to her and have a quick check with Philip McGilton to see how his race went. Erica, let's see what he's got to say.
Philip McGilton, our winner here in the 4400 Unlimited class. Philip, you and I were chatting before the race, and you said it was going to be a balance of being aggressive and decisive early on, while also still being conservative to ensure that the car crosses the finish line. Do you feel like you did just that for this win here today?
Absolutely. I mean, I really think the race course turned out just about like I thought it was going to. It was really demanding from the driver's standpoint. You really had to, the course, because everybody knows it started out really sunny. We knew there was a chance of rain coming. We qualified well up front, and we decided very early that, okay, we're going to hit this Joker line first because we didn't want to try to go up that with the rain coming in. So the course changed throughout the race, and we had to really adapt. And again, the more aggressive you seem to get, I tried to push once and I started making some mistakes. And so we kind of took a deep breath and backed her down and just held that pace there. And it got it done for us today. You know, the BF Goodwrench tires, you know, I've been bragging about them all year long. They come on board with us this year. And they're really well known for in the East Coast and desert, or not, for West Coast and desert racing tire and stuff. Or you don't see them a lot here in the East Coast. But I tell you what, they have really done a great job. That is 5 complete races so far this season without a single flat tire on this car. And that is saying a lot in the conditions we're racing in. So super pumped about that. We've got a new sponsor on board this weekend as well, Southern Tire Mart, Pilot and Flying J Jay come on board with us for the remainder of this season. So I'm really pumped to be able to come out here and give them a win for their first time out with the Ultra 4 Series. So super excited about that, and I hope they are as well. But I really want to thank everybody on the track officials, because the conditions, it did come through with a big rain in the middle of the race. I mean, we couldn't hardly see it was raining so hard, but the track officials stuck out there. They worked with getting cars that were stuck and broke down, moved out of the way, which allowed us guys to race, and we were able to keep it together and bring it home. So I'm super excited. And this is my first win in Ultra 4, so, you know, we've been getting really close all season long. We've led some laps, and we've been on the podium, you know, once, had 3 top 5s in a row. So coming here, it's like, you know what, we were due, and, you know, I'm pretty excited, very much.
As you should be. This one really demanded a lot of you and forced you to adapt on the fly. So a big congratulations to you guys. This one was hard fought and well earned.
Yeah, yes, it was. Great. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Eric, and a huge congratulations goes out to Philip McGilton for a great race. And now we're going to put up the unofficial Good Boy Vodka results. In that first spot, number 47, Philip McGilton.
And in that second position, the 41 of Josh Blyler.
In that third spot, the 46 of Rusty Blyler.
In fourth position, the 4408 of Jody Ford.
In that fifth spot, the 1018 of Paul Wolf.
In sixth position, the 4426 of Kevin Porterfield.
In that seventh position, the 618 of Casey Gilbert.
And in that eighth position, the 4417 of Jonathan Dawes.
And number 9 is the 456 of Chad Hunt.
And in that 10th position, the 797 of Jan Petrie.
In that 11th spot, the 4046 of Christopher Branton.
In 12th position, the number 60 of Chad Owens.
In that 13th spot, right here finishing, is Roger King. Couldn't have timed that any better.
Right, exactly. And in that 14th position, the 464 of Glenn Page.
Number 15, the 928 of Matt and Joe Garofalo.
In the 16th position, the 906 of Tad Dowker.
In that 17th spot, number 21, Eric Miller.
And in 18th position, the 463 of J.P. Marin.
And number 19, the 696 of Seb Perrault. The 4400 race was so much fun to watch. Paul Wolf was out front early, had a great race going. On his very last lap, he had an issue, so he was being followed closely by Philip McGilton and Josh Blyler. Josh Blyler had some tire issues, but it was Philip McGilton that didn't have any issues all day.
Yes, and speaking of that with Paul Wolf, I mean, he was coming in to get that white flag. Jody Ford, he's the one that we want to talk about right now. He came through, finished 4th position. He is a rookie in the 4400 class. This is his debut for 4400. He is a seasoned racer, but Jody Ford right there, what an amazing race for him, finishing in that number 4 position.
It was a great race all the way to the finish. So much fun to watch, so much drama. I love the added Joker line we have here to make everything work. It just was such a great race. So thanks to everybody for tuning in to the Ultra 4 USA for the 2023 famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X. From the entire broadcast crew here at AOE.TV and SpeedSport.tv, I am Miles Hasquis alongside Mrs. Pam Hall. Thank you, and we will see you at the Big House in Crandon, Wisconsin over Labor Day weekend. So we are signing out for the 2023 famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road. We will see you at the next one.